3,000 square feet of canvas. That is the specific weight of the monster they are wrestling. It has absorbed 5 tons of freezing salt water and turned into a sheet of solid iron. It has been 4 hours. 4 hours standing on a single wire rope, 60 feet above a deck you cannot see, suspended over an ocean that wants to kill you. The task is simple. Fold the sail. But the canvas is frozen stiff. If they do not fold it, the wind catches it. If the wind catches it, the mast snaps. If the mast snaps, the ship broaches, and every soul on board drowns in the pitch-black water of the Southern Ocean. Your body is no longer a body. It is a tool being ground down to dust. Your fingernails tore away 2 hours ago trying to claw the ice off the gaskets. Your eyelids are frozen shut. You are not a man anymore. You are a lever of flesh against the wrath of God. This is Cape Horn. This is 1856. And for Elias Thorne, born in 1837, this is just a Tuesday night. Hold the leech. Thomas. For the love of God, don't look down. Dig your nails in. Welcome to the era of the iron men and wooden ships. Most history books tell you about the trade routes. We are going to talk about the blood on the ropes. To understand the terror of that night, you must first understand the economy of speed. In the mid-19th century, speed was the only currency that mattered. Tea from China, wool from Australia, gold from California. The clipper ships were the Formula One cars of their day, and built for one thing, to outrun the wind. But an engine doesn't get tired. An engine doesn't bleed. Elias Thorne was 19 years old when he signed on to the Red Jacket. He wasn't an officer. He wasn't a passenger. He was an able seaman. In the hierarchy of the sea, he was the machinery. Beside him on the yardarm was Thomas Sparks Miller, 14 years old, a green hand. It was his first voyage. He had lied about his age to send money back to a mother in Liverpool who was likely already dead from cholera. I can't feel my hands, Elias. They're gone. I've lost my hands. You don't need to feel 'em to use 'em, boy. Beat them against the spar. If you stop moving, the blood stops. If the blood stops, the frost takes the fingers. Beat them. Elias knew something Thomas didn't. The cold at Cape Horn does not just freeze water, it slows time. Yet the psychological weight of the Horn wasn't just the weather, it was the isolation. They were thousands of miles from the nearest help. If they fell, the ship would not turn back. It could not turn back. We romanticize this era. We paint ships on canvas with billowing white sails and blue skies. But the reality of the clipper sailor was a life of sensory brutalization. Consider the watch system. 4 hours on, 4 hours off. But at Cape Horn, 4 hours off is a lie. When the call comes, all hands on deck. It doesn't matter if you just closed your eyes. You run. Elias had slept a total of 3 hours in the last 3 days. His brain was beginning to misfire. This is a condition known to modern science as severe sleep deprivation psychosis. To Elias, it was just the gray ghost. He started seeing things in the spray, shapes, voices. I saw my father in the waves off the port bow. He was holding a lantern. I know he's buried in Leeds, but I saw him, and he told me to let go of the rope. The mind protects itself by shutting down non-essential functions. Empathy goes first. Fear goes second. What remains is a biological imperative to survive. Elias looked at Thomas, the boy freezing next to him, and felt nothing but anger. The boy was slow, and on the yardarm, slow is death. Let's descend from the terrifying heights to the miserable depths, the forecastle, the living quarters. If you were there, the first thing that would hit you isn't the sight. Like it's the smell. A thick, oily cocktail of unwashed bodies, wet wool, stale tobacco smoke, moldy biscuits, and the pervasive, sharp sting of Stockholm tar. Stockholm tar. It was used to waterproof the ropes and the rigging. It soaked into your skin. It soaked into your pores. Elias would later say that for 50 years after he left the sea, on hot days, He could still smell the tar sweating out of his own hands. It marked you. It was the tattoo of the trade. Why doesn't it dry, Elias? Nothing dries. My boots. They're full of slime. Salt water attracts moisture, Sparks. It never dries. Not until we hit the equator. You sleep wet, you work wet. Now shut up and eat your hardtack before the weevils get the good parts. They were living in a washing machine set to spin, filled with ice water. And just as Thomas began to drift into a feverish sleep, 3 sharp bells rang out above. The time is 2 a.m. The wind has shifted to the southwest, a headwind. The worst possible news. Yet the captain orders the impossible. Reef the topsails again. The ship is heeling over at 45 degrees. The deck is a slide into oblivion. But something is wrong. As Elias climbs the ratlines, the rope ladder leading up the mast, he hears a sound that cuts through the gale. A sharp crack like a rifle shot. The topsail sheet has parted. The clew is loose. A sheet is the rope that holds the bottom corner of the sail down. It had snapped. Now, yet the corner of the sail, a mass of heavy canvas and iron chain, is flailing in the wind. It is a wrecking ball. Anyone who tries to climb past it risks being bludgeoned to death by the sail itself. Get aloft, you dogs. Secure that clew, or we lose the mast. Thorne, you lead. Take the boy. Elias looks up. The heavy iron chain attached to the sail is whipping through the air, smashing against the wood. He has to time his climb, dodge the iron death, and pin the sail against the yard. And he has to drag a 14-year-old boy with him. Imagine standing on a wire. Now imagine the wire is swinging in a 30-foot arc. Now imagine it's covered in ice. This is the foot rope. It is the only thing keeping Elias and Thomas from the ocean. Elias moves with the grace of a primate. He doesn't think. His body knows the geometry of the ship. He anticipates the roll. When the ship leans left, he leans right. It is a dance with gravity. But Thomas is frozen, and he is clinging to the shrouds, the vertical ropes, staring at the whipping sail. Move! If you stay there, the ice falling from the rigging will crack your skull. Get out on the yard. I can't. The wind. It's pushing me off. The wind at 100 miles per hour is solid. You can lean against it. But if it suddenly drops or shifts, you fall forward. The unpredictability is the killer. Elias knows he has to be cruel to be kind. He doesn't offer comfort. He offers a threat greater than the storm. Hey, if you don't climb, I'll cut your hands loose myself. Move. They reach the yard. Now begins the fist. To reef a frozen sail, you cannot just fold it. You have to beat the air out of it. You have to smash the ice crystals inside the fibers. Elias hammers his fist into the canvas, creating a small pocket. He grabs a fold. He pulls. The skin on his knuckles bursts. The salt sprays into the open wounds. It feels like fire. 1 hand for the ship, 1 hand for yourself. Haul. 1 hand for the ship, 1 hand for yourself. The golden rule. But tonight, the ship demands both hands. Elias hooks his elbow over the yard, trusting the friction of his wool jacket to hold him, and uses both hands to grapple the sail. It is a gamble. Thomas is trying. The boy is crying, his tears freezing on his cheeks, but he is hauling. He is mimicking Elias. This is how the knowledge was passed down, not in classrooms, but in the crucible of pain. Disaster. A gust hits the belly of the sail. It inflates like a balloon. The force knocks Thomas backward. His feet slip off the icy rope. He falls. But he doesn't fall to the sea. His arm tangles in the gasket, a small rope used to tie the sail. He is dangling 60 feet up, spinning in the wind, screaming. The sound of his scream is instantly swallowed by the roar of the gale. Elias doesn't see him fall. He feels the vibration on the foot rope. He looks back. The boy is gone. Sparks. Elias has a split second to decide. If he lets go of the sail to help Thomas, the sail will unfurl again, potentially knocking them both off. If he holds the sail, Thomas might slip from the gasket and die. The calculus of the sea is cold, but Elias is not the sea. Elias releases the sail. The canvas explodes outward with a boom, slapping him in the chest, cracking a rib. He ignores it. He shuffles along the wire. He reaches down into the abyss. He can't see Thomas. He can only feel the weight on the line. He grabs the boy's wrist. The wrist is thin, bone and tendon. "I've got you. Kick. Find the rope with your feet. Kick, damn you. Let me go. Heavy. Too heavy." Thomas has given up. This is the Cape Horn stupor, the moment the mind accepts death as a relief. Elias feels the boy going limp. Elias is 19. He weighs 150 pounds soaking wet. He is trying to deadlift a soaking wet human being while balancing on a wire in a hurricane. He screams. Not a word, but a primal sound. He hauls. And he leverages his back against the yardarm, risking his spine, and pulls. They are safe, for the moment. Thomas is hyperventilating, draped over the yard like a wet towel. But the sail is loose. The work they did for the last hour is undone, and the mate is watching from below. "Wake up! We aren't done. We have to do it again. I can't do it again. Look at me. You are not dying tonight, Thomas Miller. I will not write that letter to your mother. You hear me? Pick up the gasket." And this is the moment that defines the last sailor. It isn't the skill with the knots. It's the refusal to yield. Elias forces the boy back to work. They start over. 2:30 a.m. The wind screams. The blood on Elias's hands has frozen into a red crust, sealing the wounds. The next 2 hours are a blur, a trance, the long drag. Elias and Thomas work in perfect synchronization now. Fear has been replaced by mechanics. Grab, pull, beat, tie, grab, pull, beat, tie. They are machines. The Zeigarnik effect in psychology states that the brain remembers uncompleted tasks. For Elias, this task would never feel truly completed. Even decades later in his sleep, his hands would twitch, trying to grab a phantom rope. The wind begins to change its tune. It stops sounding like a scream and starts sounding like a choir. Sing then. Sing all you want. We're almost done. At 4 a.m., the last knot is tied. The sail is furled. The monster is caged. And coming down from the rigging after a fight like that is the most dangerous part. Your adrenaline crashes. Your muscles turn to water. They hit the deck. The wood feels solid, but their legs buckle. They don't cheer. Sailors don't high-five. They just breathe. That'll do. Go below. Grog for both of you. That'll do. The highest praise you could get. Elias steers Thomas toward the hatch. The boy stops and looks at his hands. They are shaped like claws, locked in the gripping position. But he cannot open them. Soak 'em in the slush bucket. The grease will loosen the tendons. You'll be able to hold a spoon by breakfast. The grog burns going down, but it brings the heat back to the belly. Thomas looks at Elias. The boy has aged 10 years in 4 hours. The innocence is gone from his eyes. It has been replaced by the Cape Horn stare, a look of permanent vigilance. "You saved me up there. I saved the watch, Sparks. We're short-handed as it is. Can't afford to lose a body." Elias lies, and he saved the boy because in the insanity of the storm, Thomas was the only thing that made Elias feel human. Saving him was an act of defiance against the ocean. The ocean wanted the boy. Elias said no. Does it ever get easier? No. But you get harder. Elias Thorne survived that night. He survived 20 more years at sea. He saw the clippers vanish, replaced by steam engines that belched coal smoke and didn't care about the wind. He died in 1922, an old man in a landlocked town. Great. But his family said that on stormy nights he would never sleep. He would sit by the window, rubbing his arthritic knuckles, smelling the phantom scent of Stockholm tar. Thomas Miller never went to sea again after that voyage. He became a clerk in London, but he sent Elias a letter every Christmas for 50 years. The letter always started the same way. To the man who pulled me from the dark. We will never see men like this again. The technology has changed. The world has shrunk. But we have GPS and heated cabins. But the ocean hasn't changed. The horn is still there, waiting in the dark, screaming for a sacrifice. Elias Thorne and the sailors of the Clipper era didn't just sail ships. They endured the unendurable. They turned their bodies into iron so that the world could have its tea, its wool, and its speed. They were the last of their kind. And if you listen closely to the wind on a quiet night, you can still hear them. One hand for the ship, one hand for yourself. Hey, this was the story of the last Clipper sailor. Why sailors died at 30. The brutal reality of Cape Horn, 1850s. The 4-hour task that broke men's minds, rounding the Horn. Born 1837. What he saw on the yardarm at midnight. Documentary.